And what is up, guys? We got a good show in store for you guys today. And of course, representing Philly because our boy Joe Pfeiffer got it done. Stay tuned and see what happened on the UFC fight night.
That is a which is fun, but you got to be ready for that. But it's no
And welcome back to another episode of Fist First. I'm your host, Steve, along with your co host, Slav.
What's up?
And as always, we're going to start you guys off with a little bit of news around the UFC world. And Slav, I think we have a very big piece of news to share here. True UFC and mixed martial arts legend, probably Hall of Famer, Jose Aldo, gets released from the UFC. And this was Aldo's decision. He did have one more fight left on his contract, but he decides to step away from the UFC. But man, what a career for Jose Aldo, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next for Aldo. What he'll get into, how good it'll be. But yeah, he had a great career in the UFC. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't really know who Aldo is, let me just read off some of his credentials here. I found a little earlier this morning. It's pretty impressive here. We got seven title defenses, which is the most in UFC featherweight history. He spent 2,037 days as the champion of that featherweight division. That's unreal. 18 wins in the featherweight division, 11 finishes, which is also the most in the UFC featherweight division. So, man, what a career for Jose Aldo. It's a shame we didn't get to see him finish out his contract on that
Yeah.
Brazil card coming in January. But, it is what it is. Got to respect the man's decision. Going
Well,
down as
yeah.
a legend.
No, unfortunately, I think most people remember him by getting knocked out by Conor McGregor. So he's not really remembered for the right things. He's
Yeah,
done a lot of great things, but that is probably the number one thing most people will remember him for. Unfortunately.
yeah, that's a shame because I feel like I see what you mean because that can overshadow such a legendary career.
Yeah.
Getting knocked out by probably the biggest name in the UFC, I would say, to this date, maybe, in Conor McGregor. And then news relating to this card that just happened, Aspen Ladd was scheduled to take on Sarah McMahon. That fight was canceled due to Ladd missing weight by 2 pounds. And to bring this back up, I think this was why that Chimaev fight or that Chimaev missed weight was an ugly look for the UFC because Aspen Ladd missing by 2 pounds, Chimaev missed by 7.5, and Ladd gets taken off the card. Chimaev still gets the fight. I think it's an ugly look, but what's
Yeah, I'm
done
not
is
a big
done.
fan of the dehydration process the fighters go through. I think one
Yeah,
fighting they do, they actually test the fighters' hydration level, so you can't do weight cuts and stuff like that.
like
I
I
would like to see
understand
some in
it.
the UFC like that, if possible, one day.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I mean, like I said, I just think I really do think that's just an ugly look,
Yeah,
especially for like these young up and coming fighters. You know, basically saying if you got a little momentum behind you, you can pretty much do whatever in this promotion and get away with it.
hmm
I just think it's a bad look. But anyway, like I said, what's in the past is in the past. So let's get into this card. I'd say for a UFC fight night, I thought it was a pretty bloody good time. And
yeah.
we
I haven't seen some bloody fights like this in a long time.
some brutal injuries, and we're actually going to start off the show with not a brutal injury, but rather a near pass out due to choke. So this was Jillian Robertson taking on Maria Agapova, and Jillian Robertson nearly put Maria Agapova to sleep. Um, She wins this fight, Jillian Robertson, 2 minutes and 19 seconds into round 2 with her patented famous rear naked choke. And I'm going to pull up this video for you guys because, um, man, this video is why you tap in the UFC. Because just watch.
She's got to reach for the hands if
She's not even fighting the hands. She's got to try to reach back.
Good job by Jillian. Jillian's got to start getting pressure forward. She'll put her to sleep.
Oh, and that's it. Jillian Robertson puts her out on the ground, and it's another.
That, my friends, is why you tap. Because if you guys think you can fight that off, you got another thing coming for you.
I always do get some respect for people that don't tap. So,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's going to happen unless they don't let go. But,
I mean, just look at her face at the end of that. Like,
yeah.
it's almost like she got knocked out. Just, you know, not
I've been there before. Someone choked me out. And it's not a good feeling at all. Like, people that haven't felt that will say, oh, why don't they last longer? Why don't they just escape? It's not. It's much harder than it looks.
I mean, yeah, you're sitting there literally not being able to breathe.
It's an awful feeling as well. Like
seeing that kind of just sparked the memory of that Ortega Volkanovski fight, where Ortega had Volkanovski locked, and Volkanovski
I can't believe
to tap.
Volk got out of that. I would have tapped in probably under 3 seconds.
Yeah, Volkanovski's face started going purple.
Yeah,
that's how bad that was.
The gurgling and stuff, man.
Oh gosh,
it's very unpleasant.
Hey, I just said, hey man, like definitely tap, but like you said, respect for the people that can stay in there and fight through that. But
yeah,
you're playing a risky game there, and obviously you saw that with Maria Agapova there playing that risky game. Got put to sleep, woke up, had no idea where she was. And another fight here that this is really the only 2 fights that really caught my eye in the preliminary. This was the Philly boy fight, Pat Sabatini, or one of the Philly boy fights. Pat Sabatini taking on Damon Jackson. The Philly boy doesn't get it done. Damon Jackson wins this one via KO, 1 minute 9 seconds into round 1. I think there was a little bit of illegal ground and pound here. Illegal shots to the back of the head by Damon Jackson. I guess that can be disputed, but that's definitely what I saw. But credit where credit's due. Damon Jackson gets the win days after his brother passed away. For those of you who don't know, Damon Jackson's brother passed away a few days before this fight. Damon Jackson didn't want to give up the fight, took it, and got a very emotional win and a performance of the night bonus to go along with it. So shout out to Damon Jackson.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Sad to see Sabatini lose and get knocked out, but it is what it is. Credit to Jackson.
Hey, man, you know, some nights you just don't have it, and you know, with Jackson's brother passing away, he definitely had something on his side.
Yeah, it's always fighters when something like that happens. You know they're gonna win.
You know they're coming out with
them.
Right.
Unstoppable.
Absolutely. And all right, moving on to the main card here. Anthony Hernandez taking on Marc-Andre Barreau. Last week, we had said on our show that this would probably be the most dominated fight. I remember I said I had Anthony Hernandez as my biggest, other than Joe Pyfer, my biggest lock on this card. And I would say, Slav, that our prediction came true. Hernandez completely dominates this fight. He gets the win via submission 1 minute 53 seconds into round 3. And boy, was this a blowout. 14 more significant strikes than Barreau. 8 minutes and 45 seconds of ground control against Barreau's 25 seconds of ground control. I think Hernandez won this fight just after that starting bell rung.
Yeah, Barreau had no chance at all winning this one.
Yeah, and
Hernandez did really good.
Hernandez landed that vicious head slam, if you will, on Barreau. Picked him up and literally slammed him down on his head, which was pretty cool to see. Don't really get to see those noggin splitters that often. And a fight where, moving on here, a fight that we did not get right here, unfortunately. I had a pretty confident prediction in this one. It was Tanner Boser taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. I had said last show that Boser would get the job done and knock out Nascimento, but unfortunately, that does not happen. Nascimento gets the win via split decision. And we did say that Nascimento would look to take Boser down, and that's what he did. Nascimento attempted 7 takedowns, landed 3 of them. And with those 3 successful takedowns, he managed to get just over 8 minutes of ground control. I don't know, Slav. I think this was a pretty cheap move in my eyes.
Yeah, Nascimento definitely fought the coward's way. You really didn't want to fight him. You just wait and laid on top of him. I don't see no honor in that. I don't think it was a real win. If these two stood up, I don't know if Nascimento would have got the win. But this is MMA. Stuff like this happens.
You see over 8 minutes of ground control, and you're thinking, okay, if this goes to decision, it's going to be unanimous, right? But no, this is split, and the reason behind that is Nascimento, like you said, just laid on top of him. He didn't really do much work.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, think about this. Nascimento was just about 40 pounds heavier than Boser coming into this fight. So a cheap win. A cheap win by Nascimento here. Shout out to Boser, though. He put up a heck of a fight, especially in the stand-up game. Landed over double the amount of significant strikes than Rodrigo Nascimento did. But unfortunately, the heavyweight takes him to the ground, lays on top of him. Fights over.
This fight, it is what it is. Wish it could go different, but
Boser will be back.
Yeah.
He'll be back. And he'll definitely be looking for that next time, those takedowns. But you don't really see them too often in the heavyweight division. Time for Joe Pyfer taking on Alan Amedovski. What did we say last week, Slav?
First round knockout. And it happens.
And that's exactly what happens. Joe Pyfer, welcome to the UFC. Getting the knockout 3 minutes and 55 seconds into round 1. Also taking home a performance of the night bonus. And man, did Pyfer prove that he has those heavy hands. For those of you who did not get to witness the Philly boy in his first UFC fight, I showed you a video last week of Joe Pyfer's knockout on Dana White Contender Series. I think you're going to see something a little similar to what he did there. Let me pull up this fight here. Where are we at? Here we go. Joe Pyfer taking down Alan Amedovski. And let's check this one out, guys.
Oh, that's it.
Down and out.
Let's watch that again.
Oh, that's it.
Down and out.
Those one punchers, man.
Yeah, I love those knockouts. The one punch and then another one for the finish.
Yeah, very, very, very similar to what we saw him do on Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah, they were similar knockouts. Like I said on the last knockout, reminded me of Sean O'Malley and his one knockout.
Yeah. Over Eddie Wineland.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. I love to see knockouts like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like especially the Philly boy. We had a lot of hype built on him coming into this fight. You just love to see it. I mean, just what a knockout. Welcome to the UFC, Joe Pyfer. There's a chance that he might be added to the UFC 4 video game. Put him in there, guys, because I haven't really been playing UFC a lot, but if you add Joe Pyfer, I will be there, and I will be playing UFC 4. Before we move on to the next fight, though, something with Pyfer here is I do have one concern with him, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this or not, Slav, but I'd like to see Pyfer get a little bit more well-rounded in the universe of MMA because he throws a lot. He throws a lot of punches, right? He's a very hands-on kind of guy. Not a lot of kicks, not a lot of body shots, a lot of punches straight in, straight to the head. which is fine. It can get you somewhere, but it's not going to elevate you to that next level. So I would like to see him maybe get a little bit more acquainted with the ground, hopefully, because that is becoming a bigger part of the UFC. Um,
Yeah, I do think he can improve on that. He might, I don't know, it might take a while to get good at it, but yeah, that's one thing he'll definitely need to work on. And, if he continues in the UFC, he's going to have fighters that are good on the ground. So he's going to have to adapt. He can't stay the same. This is the UFC. You got to change your game again, and you got to be good at every level. So, but yeah, I think he will, but it might take some time before he does.
yeah, and I say this because you look at the Chimaev and the Holland fight. You have Holland, who's predominantly a striker, as Joe Pyfer is, um, and Holland stepped into the octagon with a grappler. Fight was over before it started. Um, so yeah, especially with Joe Pyfer being in that middleweight division that Chimaev's
Mhm.
most likely coming up to. Um,
I did see Andre Petrowski in his corner. He's a
yeah,
wrestler, so he might be teaching him some stuff.
and I do
Uh,
believe, if I'm not mistaken, he just got booked for a fight as well. I think I saw the other day. I want to say in December, maybe October. But
okay.
yeah, Andre Petrovsky is fighting. I think before the end of the year's over. As is Joe Pyfer's other training partner. Um, wow, I am totally blanking on his name. Philly boy. Why am I blanking on his name? It'll come back to me. Moving on here, Andre Philly taking on Bill Algeo. Philly gets the win here via split decision. And we talked about the Jingliang Rodriguez fight. I think this was another fight that the judges got wrong. I think Philly was completely outclassed in the
Hmm.
stand-up game. You saw him take it to the ground. He only landed one of 3 takedown attempts, but with that one takedown attempt, he managed to stay on there for over 4 minutes of ground control. Um, but like we said with the Nascimento fight, I don't like these guys that take you down to the ground, and don't really do a lot of work because, again, this fight split decision. The reason is Philly didn't do enough on the ground to convince at least one of the judges that he deserved that win. So, man, another one where I think the judges got it wrong, and I think Philly gets the cheap, desperate win here. Um,
Yeah, I like a logo who's from the area. Tough to see him lose. He'll be back. We'll say that. But yeah, the judges, man, it sucks. So
yeah,
some judges like the ground more; they give more points for that. Um, yeah, I feel like these judges have to be. I don't know, just get it down better. Like how much your point, uh, like control time worth and ground time. So that's something that needs to be in consideration.
yeah, I feel like they over credit that groundwork. Now, if
Yeah.
you're on the ground and you're putting in that work, you're keeping them down there. You're switching up your position. You're throwing a punch every now and then, not just laying on top of somebody. I understand it, but
Yeah,
not
I
when you're
feel
just
like
sitting
too
there.
many guys aren't going for the finish when they're
Right.
on top. So
Exactly.
that's something that
Exactly.
needs to be changed.
Now, we had mentioned some split decision fights. Co-main event did not go to decision. We got a nice bloody knockout here. Chidi and Jokumani taking on Gregory Rodriguez. It was indeed the fight of the night. Another shout out to us in our last show predicting this fight of the night. Rodriguez ends up getting the win here via KO, 1 minute 27 seconds into round two. And before this fight was over, this was an extremely, extremely close fight with both guys landing some big, powerful blows. Um, I really thought Njokuani had this one. He was hurting. He was hurting Rodriguez bad, and we'll show you a picture later. He got and Njokuani got Rodriguez with a bad knee. That almost stopped the fight due to doctor stoppage. But Rodriguez fights through the adversity, comes away with the win. Gets is getting beat for most of the fight. Lands one blow, knocks Njokuani down. Ground and pound. Fight was over. But man, what did we say? This fight had the potential to be fireworks, and it was a
Yeah.
great fight.
I love it when the fighters come back and think they're gonna lose, but they're not done yet.
And we're saying so. Rodriguez's cut was right on the forehead there, and his face was leaking bad, and he ended up getting the win. It's almost like a movie, right? It's almost movie.
Yeah, it's like when you never seen UFC before. You think people fighting and getting all bloody. And that's what you imagine. This is
Right,
what you
right.
think about.
A new UFC fan. That's the
Yeah.
kind of fight that they expect when all these
Yeah.
UFC fans get
But
hyped.
normally fights don't look like this at all.
No.
Yeah.
But moving on here again, another bloody fight. The main event, Song Yadong taking on Corey Sandhagen, and this one was actually stopped by doctor stoppage due to a vicious gash on Song Yadong's left
Yeah.
eye.
I think it should have been even stopped around earlier. To be
No,
honest.
dude, I totally agree with that. Like that, we'll pull up a picture of that a little bit later on too. That was a vicious cut as well. But at the end of the day, Sandhagen does take this one. I think they classify technically as a technical knockout
Yeah,
if it's a doctor
TKO.
stoppage. And this was leading into round 5, which actually brings me up to my next point. It's a shame. It's a shame that we did not get to see a round 5 of this fight because, in my opinion, this could have easily won fight of the night as well. Let me pull up the scorecard here because leading into round 5, it was an extremely close fight. Here we are here. You could see, so Sal D'Amato had that 38-38 going into round 5. Chris Lee, the only one of 3 that had Sandhagen up in that fight, and
Mhm.
Derek Cleary having that 38-38 as well. So close fight, would have been a heck of a round 5, but protect your fighters. Song Yadong, that fight needed to stop for him.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Sanhagen looked like he still had it though, even for his age. Don put up a good fight. Just not quite at the level. Yeah, it could have went either way with round 5. Um, yeah, but both fighters looked really good. I wish we got to see another round. But yeah, I can't blame the ref for stopping the fight, Herb Dean, or the doctor,
Yeah,
whoever
yeah.
stopped it. But yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and especially too, Song Yadong. He's only 24. He's on the rise. You don't want to hurt one of your top up and comers.
yeah,
Age 24. Fix him up. He'll be back. He's got a younger body, so his recovery time is probably going to be a little less time. So protect your guys. He'll be back. Shout out to both of these fighters, Sandhagen and Yadong, putting on a wonderful performance. And I cannot wait to see what's next for both of these guys. So moving on here, we have a new segment. We're going to call it Gruesome Gashes, I think. We're basically going to show you guys 1 or 2 of the most gruesome gashes on the UFC card. So if you are a little squeamish and don't really like a lot of blood, I suggest you guys close your eyes for a few seconds here. So the first one I want to bring up is Song Yadong's eye. This is the reason why the doctor had to call that fight off. Let's see here. Bring it up right now. There it is, right over that left eye. You can't tell it from that picture, but
yeah. It doesn't even look that bad in the picture. Looked much worse.
But when we say that eye was leaking,
yeah,
that
he even
eye was
said he couldn't
leaking.
even see out the eye at the end of the fight.
Yep, all the blood. He couldn't. You can't move on a fight like that, especially because he's going to keep getting tagged in that left eye because he can't see
Yeah.
anything coming. So, like
All
we said,
Hagen had to do was throw some jabs and it started pouring out.
right, and that that was thick already. Imagine, another round of that eye getting hit over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just it would have ended very badly for Yadong in that case. Um, Yadong does lose that fight. Now for a gruesome gash from a guy that did win the fight, Gregory Rodriguez here. Man, you look at this. You look at this picture here, and this guy won the fight. This guy won this fight. Man, that is from a knee. That is from a knee to the forehead. Huh, like is that his vein and his skull behind it? Like, you want to talk about gruesome gashes? There's probably the gruesome gash of the week for you guys. That is just absolutely brutal. Slob, you think you could pull off a UFC win with that kind of cut?
No, I think I would have been knocked out on the ground. Dude, I don't know how he survived that, to be honest.
These fighters are so tough. So tough. I mean, how do you fight through that, and how do you win through that? Like, shout out to Gregory Rodriguez, because I wouldn't be able to do that. All right, and another segment we did last week, discussion topics. Got an interesting one to start us off here, Slav. So this question kind of came to me through that Tanner Boser and Nascimento fight. So the question for you is, due to the variety of weights in the heavyweight division in the UFC, for those of you who don't know, the weights go from 225 pounds all the way up to 265 pounds. That's the biggest discrepancy in weights, in weight in any division in the UFC. And like we said, Nascimento was around 40 pounds heavier than Bosa during this fight. So with all that being said, would you like to see the UFC make the heavyweight division stand up only? Or would you like to see them kind of split and make a whole new division, maybe like a super heavyweight division? Let's say maybe 250 pounds to 265 or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I wouldn't change the division. I'd create a new one, like maybe, like you said, make it like a super heavyweight division, 255, 265. Yeah, only stand up would be very entertaining for the fans. Lots of knockouts. I think this would be something a lot of people would want to watch. So I think it's a great idea. Will it happen? I don't know, but I think this is what the fans want to see.
Yeah, when you think of heavyweight division, you think of guys standing up on their feet and just slugging. You think of fights like Cyril Gane and Tai Tuivasa that just happened a few weeks ago. You don't want to see a guy 40 pounds heavier than his opponent just laying on top of him. Is this going to happen? Are they going to make a stand-up division? Probably not. But, I mean, it's an interesting topic to bring up. But what is more likely is that super heavyweight division. I think that could be an interesting thing for the UFC to explore. Is it going to happen? Probably not either, but I think that's probably more likely. Probably be more entertaining that way too. So we talked about Joe Pyfer. Exciting UFC debut. So what's next for Joe Pyfer? Who's next for Joe Pyfer? And I got two names for you here. It's actually interesting because these two guys actually fought a couple weeks ago. So you got Abus Magomedov. He fought Dustin Stolfus, and these are the two names that I have. Magomedov did get that win over Stolfus, that vicious head kick, like 30-some seconds into round one. So, Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov could be extremely interesting. Two guys with two explosive UFC debuts, and pretty similar in the rankings. And then you got the guy, Dustin Stolfus, who lost that fight to Magomedov. But this is a guy who beat Joe Pyfer in Dana White Contender Series a few years ago. But he beat him because he broke Joe Pyfer's arm. So that would be a Joe Pyfer revenge fight off of a guy that broke his arm. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what happened to Joe Pyfer in that fight, I got the video here for you guys. Again, if you guys are a little squeamish to injuries, I would probably look away for the next few seconds. But yeah, Joe Pyfer taking on Dustin Stolfus. Let's watch Pyfer's arm break here.
It's just a freak thing. His arm popped out. You'll see here, it dislocates.
You can see right at that elbow there. Pretty nasty broken arm. That sidelined Joe Pyfer for nearly a year, I think. So out of these two fights here, who do you think you would like to see? Pyfer Magomedov, a clash of USC explosive debuters, or Pyfer and Stolfus in kind of a revenge fight for Pyfer?
I would love to see a rematch with Stolfus. Yeah, I think the fight. Yeah, like it would be fun to see a real knockout in that fight. Get to see a real winner. So I want to see that fight out the most.
I think I agree. I think before he takes that next leap, I think he's got to kind of face his demon, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'll call it here. Joe Pyfer wins that fight. Round 1 knockout. Ride the round 1 knockout train for Joe Pyfer.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, Corey Sandhagen. Exciting fighter. What's next for him, man? Because for me, there's two names that are pretty obvious in Merab Dvalishvili and Marlon Vera. Who do you think, if you're Corey Sandhagen, who do you think you match up with better? Who do you think you pursue a fight with more here? You got an up-and-comer in Chito Vera or, a very pesty fighter in Merab Dvalishvili.
Yeah, I think Chito Vera, I think this would be a good fight. Chito Vera and Sandhagen. I don't know. Vera I don't know if he deserves a title fight already, so he might already get that without having to fight Sandhagen. So Merab I still want to see more from Merab. So I think this would also make sense. And yeah, I think he still needs some more fights for the title, at least one more if he wants to do it. I think Marlon Vera proved himself a little more. So it would make sense for Merab to fight Sandhagen because I think he still needs to prove himself for a title fight more than Vera has to prove.
I agree with you there, and I think Dvalishvili is a better matchup for Sandhagen. Going into that fight, Sandhagen would have a 5-inch height advantage along with a 2-inch reach advantage. Also, Dvalishvili's not a guy that really is known for his finishes. I think only 4 out of his 15 professional fights have been closed out inside the distance. So yeah, I think that's a better matchup for him. I think the fight that makes the community more happy would be Chito Vera versus Sandhagen. I think that would be a more exciting fight, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's a very interesting division because you got Aljo taking on Dillashaw next month. So if Aljo wins that fight, Sandhagen, Dvalishvili, Vera, they're not going to be next. The winner of Petr Yan versus O'Malley is going to be next. If Aljo loses that fight, Aljo's going to get the rematch. So regardless of who Sandhagen fights here, the winner of that fight would probably have to wait close to a year before getting a title shot with all that.
Yeah, there's so many good fighters in this division that deserve a title shot. So
it's a very stacked division, yeah.
Especially
your top 6. They're all right there.
Yeah, so these fighters gonna have to be patient, wait for their turn. We'll see who's gonna wait it out or who's gonna still fight while waiting. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet, but that October pay-per-view with Aljo O'Malley and Yan is going to be complete fireworks. Actually, yeah, Aljo and Dillashaw is that card too.
Yeah, I think we got some Fight of the Year candidates.
Yeah, I cannot wait to preview that, but we got a couple weeks for that one. I think a little over a month, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Finish our show out here. Our final for the UFC draft month of September. We have Slav taking the month of September, 14 points to 12. Pfeiffer with the KO gets you, Slav, the full 3 points there. I got 1 of 2 right on all mine. Don't get the full 3 points for any of my fights. Slav, you close this one out in September. We will continue that in October, and maybe we can get the fans involved in the October one as well, which would be fun. And yeah, we'll probably be coming at you on Monday next week. There's no fights this upcoming Saturday. So Monday, we're not going to have anything to review, but we will probably make like a UFC starter show for all you fans that want to get into the UFC but don't really know exactly what it entails or what the UFC really is. So we'd like to give you guys an episode introducing you guys to the world of UFC. That will be Monday night. Thanks again for watching. As always, we're streaming here on DSM Media's YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, or follow button, and we will catch you guys on Monday night. Peace out.
See you guys.